Analyst Dr. John Neese joining us now with our tropical update.
And John, we have a tropical depression in the Atlantic. Will it be upgraded to a tropical storm today?
There certainly is a possibility, Heather. The Hurricane Center waiting until they have some more visible satellite imagery to better determine whether the low-level center is embedded within the heaviest thunderstorms. Just to make sure we all start out with the proper terminology, take a look at what we mean by a tropical depression. It's a tropical low-pressure system forming over tropical or subtropical waters that has a definite low-level circulation counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere and winds of 38 miles per hour or less. If the winds were to get to 39 miles per hour, it would be upgraded to a tropical storm and named, in this case, Bill would be the next name on the list. Just to give you a sense of where it is, the winds and pressure measurements here, all estimated from satellites. Winds estimated 35 mile per hour sustained, about 1,100 miles east-southeast of the Windward Islands, which is the southernmost chain of the Lesser Antilles, comprising the islands from Martinique southward to Grenada. Satellite imagery shows us the tropical depression. Here on the lower right-hand part of the screen, here is the northern part of South America, still quite a ways from land, going through cycles of intensity and then losing some intensity from time to time, but still difficult from satellite, infrared satellite imagery to see exactly where the low-level circulation is. But we certainly have a tropical depression here, and it will be monitored closely. Has a chance today to be upgraded to a tropical storm Bill. Conditions ahead of it, however, sort of unfavorable with stronger southwesterly winds as it approaches the Lesser Antilles, and that would likely, a day or two from now, weaken it if it were to become a tropical storm. Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean Sea, places where we would be more common to see some tropical development this time of year, all clear except for the typical thunderstorms that pop up over the land surfaces during the day. Bill and Heather?
Well, and John, we are also looking at some severe storms this morning. What is going to be the main area that we're concerned about over the next, say, couple of hours?
Well, we do have a severe thunderstorm watch issued by the Storm Prediction Center in effect until 11 o'clock Central Time. Let's take a look at where that is. Southern Arkansas and a small portion of western Mississippi. We do have a few strong thunderstorms roaming that neck of the woods right now. A couple severe thunderstorm warnings in southwestern Arkansas. The main threat here would be winds in excess of 60 miles an hour, so very strong winds, the main threat this morning. Two areas we're really concerned about, one in the northern plains, the other stretching from the lower Mississippi River Valley into the mid-Mississippi River Valley for more development a little bit later today. You can actually see on our combination satellite imagery radar some spin in the radar echoes. Anytime you see that, you know you have an intense upper level disturbance, and that's why the area that I'm most concerned about is this southernmost area, the low level moisture really in place. Look at these dew points, the dark green, tropical air at low levels of the atmosphere ready to be lifted. And so the severe threat today does run from, say, Jackson, Mississippi northward all the way to, say, Louisville, Kentucky. The main threat, damaging winds and large hail. Can't rule out the possibility of an isolated tornado, and there will be some torrential rains in there, localized 2 or 3 inch amounts in the next 12 hours.
And John, can you talk more about the potential for heavy rain?
Well, we do have, let me outline for you where we're most concerned about heavy rains, and there is the area. I'd be most concerned from central Arkansas into southern Illinois for some localized 2 to 3 inch amounts.
All right, thank you, John. And of course, a lot of folks are already looking ahead to this weekend. It is Father's Day. Let's check out the forecast for some of you on Sunday. In New York City, it does look like it's going to be dry, but we are going to have more clouds around. Atlanta, Detroit, we have some thunderstorm action certainly possible. And in Los Angeles, look for partly cloudy skies on our Father's Day. Quick check here, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, also some clouds. Orlando, possibly some storms. But in Chicago, look for dry conditions. Very nice, mid-70s.
And joining us now, Alexander Steele, some quirky mail-carrying methodology out there in Lake Geneva these days.
Exactly. They keep it fun up there and have for 100 years. Take a look at this video, and then we'll talk about it as our weekend getaway. You know, on Geneva Lake, they certainly have a unique way of delivering the mail, dotted to the home.
Forecast for your area. extended forecast.
Thanks for joining us. You're watching the Tropical Update, and we will be talking about our tropical depression number 2 in the Atlantic. As you typically look this time of the year, you don't see development here in the Atlantic, but you typically see it in the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico. And I have good news here. We're not expecting any development here in the next day or so. So very quiet here. But here in the Atlantic, we've only had a couple of them develop. Since 1967, this is one of 3. And that's because we didn't have satellite before then. So very impressive. This is Tropical Depression number 2. This was the 11 o'clock advisory. Let me get out of the way here. And you can see how through 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock to 5 o'clock this morning that we're looking at still a tropical depression here, and it's still very far from the Windward Islands, so we have plenty of time to watch this. And it's right here. That's it. And as you can see, the convection, or the higher cloud tops, the purples, the oranges, not looking as impressive. It looks a little more disorganized here. But there still is an area of low pressure here. It is still a tropical depression. But look here, you can see some of the whiter colors as the high cloud tops here that are moving from the west to the east. That is what we call shear. And as this depression moves into this, it will get torn apart. But there's a window of opportunity that we could see this become a tropical storm. And it is forecast to do that, a minimal tropical storm in the next 24 hours. And then once it hits those westerly winds, we're not going to see much of it. We'll keep an eye on it, though, because it could eventually maybe go into the Caribbean or Gulf of Mexico. We'll keep an eye on it. But we are looking at some very quiet weather here now in the Caribbean, in the Gulf of Mexico. So enjoy the cruise today or doing some fishing. Eastern Pacific, quiet, very active, though, as far as thunderstorms, but no development here. It's really not that organized. But again, this is an area that we'll be keeping an eye on. That's it for the tropics. Now let's talk about, we have a new severe thunderstorm watch. Nick?
Yeah, we do have some severe weather rumbling through portions of the nation. And of course, when tornadoes approach, you need to know that early warning is crucial. Now, thanks to technology the Navy uses to track and target enemy aircraft or missiles, we may double tornado warning times. It's called phased array radar. It can scan the sky 6 times faster than Doppler radar. The National Severe Storms Lab in Norman, Oklahoma will test the radar this summer. Radar is certainly getting a good workout here around the Deep South and northward too, where thunderstorms putting down the potential of hail and gusty winds and of course lots of rainfall throughout portions of western Kentucky at this hour. Back toward the Dakotas later on this afternoon, we could see severe weather rear its ugly head as this area of low pressure moves out into the plains. But it's right along this cold front where we're seeing the heavy rain and also down with this abundant Gulf moisture into portions of the south where we're going to see more potential for severe weather. Watch is up for areas of northern Mississippi, across most of Tennessee and on it into portions of Kentucky and West Virginia. Those are severe thunderstorm watches, but it's not out of the question that we could see an isolated tornado with these thunderstorms today as well. We've certainly seen strong storms and heavy rainfall here in the southern portions of Louisiana, where New Orleans is being inundated with heavy rainfall right now, and several parishes, including Iberia, St. Mary's, and Lower St. Martin's parishes, all under flash flood warnings. Also, Lake Pontchartrain under a special marine warning at this hour. Northward, just east and south of Jackson, Mississippi. This is where we're seeing Smith County under a severe thunderstorm warning at this hour. Watch out for the potential of some not only heavy downpours of rain, but also some gusty winds up to above 50 miles an hour and maybe even some hail with these as well. Your forecast as we get through Thursday, we'll see more rainy times here for you around portions of the Ohio Valley and northward too into portions of the mid-Atlantic, where we'll see more scattered thunderstorms. And then coming back into the picture around Minneapolis, around Omaha, it's a chance of at least an isolated severe storm. But for today, we're seeing heavy rain that has been pushing through Little Rock, northward up into western Kentucky. Look at this line of thunderstorms bearing down on London right now. Prepare yourself for some heavy downpours of rain. This is where the flash flood watches are in effect all the way from Missouri northward and eastward across Illinois and Indiana. These could be extended eastward as we could see locally 2 to 3 inches more of rain on already saturated ground. Stay tuned. Weather Center ahead.
This program was brought to you by AirServe. Let AirServe put you in your comfort zone.
concerned about your home's air quality?
Forecast. Your extended forecast.
Welcome back. It's 10 minutes before the hour, and that means it's time for your tropical update. Let's check in with our hurricane expert, Dr. Steve Lyons. And Steve, yesterday we were watching a low that seemed to be developing, but today it's not such a factor.
That's right, Christina. We have a tropical depression, but the system is running into some upper level shear and really looking rather sick right now. Let's have a look at the latest information from the Hurricane Center, and as we look at it, the low pressure center you see down there in the bottom right hand corner of your screen is the location at 9.8 north, 46.7 west, at least at 5 p.m. Still almost 900 miles east-southeast of the Windward Islands. Winds 35 miles per hour. That's in a small section, probably on the north side of the circulation, not on the south side. Moving west at 20 miles per hour, pretty good clip. Pressure estimated about 1,010 millibars. And last night we saw quite a bit of thunderstorm action around this low pressure center, but it's now running into some upper level wind shear. We can see that a little bit better on our water vapor imagery. First of all, let me put the low pressure symbol right there. That's where the system is. But look at these upper level west winds zooming through here, associated with two upper level lows, one right here, another one right here, and both to the south of that we have fairly strong west winds. So as this system moves off toward the east toward the west at about 20 miles per hour, it will continue to remain under the shear, so we don't think it's going to develop into a tropical storm, at least anytime soon. So as it approaches the islands over the next 4 or 5 days, expect some gustier than normal winds. Here's the circulation close up in the infrared. You can see it's a rather poorly defined system, but still some isolated thunderstorms embedded in it and some gusty winds on the north side of this thing. It'll probably come through the islands as a wave sometime on Saturday. The remainder of the tropical Atlantic, including the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean, relatively nice weather. We do have a couple of problem areas relative to rain down here in the Trinidad and Tobago area, and also down toward Panama and up toward the Nicaragua area, some disturbed weather there along the coast, but nothing that we're expecting to develop over the next 24 to 36 hours. Eastern Pacific, we continue to monitor a broad area of low pressure. It remains broad and ill-organized. No surf from any of this, surfers, but there is a south swell coming up into Southern California from the southern hemisphere, producing some pretty good surf all the way from Malibu down toward the Newport Wedge. Have fun surfing. Let's get back to some severe weather now with Christina.
All right. Dr. Steve Lyons, thanks so much for the update. Now let's take a look at where we are dealing with severe weather. And unfortunately, we are seeing a rather widespread area where we could see some pretty nasty storms. We have a number of severe thunderstorm watches as well as tornado watches from South Dakota and Nebraska back down into Texas and Oklahoma. Here are some of the severe thunderstorm watches in the east and some pretty nasty thunderstorms indeed. We've been watching rough weather in Mississippi as well as into Alabama. Look out around the Tupelo area. Some very nasty storms headed your way. We've also been keeping an eye here around Nashville. Unfortunately, in the metro area earlier, a fatality due to very strong winds there. So it's been a rough afternoon, and we're still seeing more stormy weather moving through eastern Tennessee, storms moving into Georgia now, and you've seen some rough weather around Coweta County. Look out around Atlanta, and then we see even more storms farther northward here into Virginia. Here's just a little closer view that shows these storms around Lynchburg and back through southwestern Virginia, where we have a number
of severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. Also watching here in Texas as we have tornado watches in effect, including the Abilene area, and we have a couple of tornado warnings to tell you about. Northern Terrell County and southwest Texas, you're under a tornado warning, but we also head into the panhandle of Texas, and Moore County is under a tornado warning. Look out around Dumas, Sunray, and Cactus. These are some of the areas that could be affected by these storms. And then farther northward, we have a tornado watch that's in effect for parts of Nebraska as well as into South Dakota. And you'll want to stay tuned. We'll have more on all of this coming up next on Weather Center.
The power is in your hands. The Wagner Wide Shot Power Painter. Professional results in about a third of the time. The one and only Wagner Power Painter. For guys who like to run wide open.
The Wagner Wide Shot Power Painter. Professional results in a third of the time.
Somewhere between where you are and where you're going, there's a Super 8. See you along the way.
Super 8.
It's an upgrade to Action Hero. This is so freaking cool. Jeep 2.0.
I get it. Oxygen because of Jeep Liberty's high altitude testing.
Not exactly. Don't forget the cash allowance and the warranty and 0% financing. Deep breaths.
For deals that'll take your breath away, turn to the Jeep Summer Sales Drive. Right now, very well-qualified buyers can get into a Jeep Liberty for $259 a month with a $999 down payment. Plus, every vehicle comes with our 770 Powertrain Limited Warranty. Hurry to your Jeep dealer today.
Starting with me, everything in this place is mean and miserable.
Bring in the prisoner. You stand accused of conspiring against the Klingon Empire.